Okay, I think we're all ready now. Thank you very much for being here. We are broadcasting, transforming with poetry from Leeds, live on Facebook, and later this video will be available through YouTube. Welcome everybody, whether you are now watching us or whether you are watching us in the future. My name is Antonio, and this is our monthly event. And we're going to have a number of poets and translators from different parts of the world. Some of them are already joined the event here, but we have somebody who I think deserves, you know, a very warm welcome and the admiration of everybody today, who is Izzy Brittain. We'll dedicate the first 20 minutes or so of our event to her work. Izzy Brittain is from West Yorkshire, where we are, West Yorkshire in Leeds, and she's a dancer. She's a poet. She also does visual art. She's a facilitator. She's a person who shares a lot of our values in terms of politics, in terms of access and participation to art. She's a person truly committed to, innovation in poetry and dance, but with a clear moral and personal compass that aligns very much with the values of this event. So I'd like to give her a warm welcome. Hello, Izzy. How are you?
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Antonio. Fabulous to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a real pleasure. We are going to show some videos of your work, yeah. And the first one I think is the Book of Witching. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting work that you have produced in collaboration with other artists as well. So when people see the video, watch a video, they'll see that there is another poet and that there is some artwork in the background, and that there is a studio, some external locations, and so on. Tell us a little bit about how this Book of Witching came about. Was it the poetry that came about first, or some of the art there?
So the Book of Witching was a collaborative commission for Wigan Arts Festival, and I was working with another poet called Louise Fazakerley, who lives locally to Wigan. So the commission took place at the Turnpike, and it was a digital commission merging dance and poetry in response to a visual art exhibition in the space. So two visual artists called Anna F.D. Smith and Helen Mather had put on a wonderful exhibition called These Lancashire Women Are Witches in Politics. And this statement was taken from a government document way back when the League female reformers, sort of just pre-Peterloo time, were forming their movement. And they did a government report on them because they were worried about these groups of women forming these coalitions and sort of becoming radicalized in this activism for political reform. And one of the lines was that these Lancashire women are witches in politics. And so that was the starting point for their exhibition. Our commission was a response to their exhibition. So it was like yet another jumping off point. And me and Louise, the other poet, have worked together before on a micro commission. And we developed a format which was 10 one-minute pieces. It was kind of like an anarchic sketch show. The first time we worked together, it was again in response to a visual art exhibition, and it was responding more broadly to the life and work of the particular artist. That was a live show, and obviously this was digital. So yeah, it was a challenge. It was a new thing for both of us to be working in film format. We did it in quite a DIY sort of way. We did all the filming and editing ourselves, even though we're not filmmakers. So that was interesting. And yeah, that's just a bit about the context of the work, really. It was shown at the exhibition. So it was filmed in the space as well. So the places, the sets that you will see, and everything that's in the background and around us is part of the original exhibition. And if you go a layer deeper still, all of that stuff was co-created with the local community of Leeds. So it was a really participation-based residency that they did, really. And they included embroidery, ceramics, all sorts of stuff. Talked with historians, had poetry. It was really, yeah, multimodal, working on lots of different levels with lots of different groups, with local people. So there's all that richness that we had to respond to. And yeah, I think we just worked intuitively. I don't know what came first, really. Yeah, probably, as we are both poets and that's our shared form, probably the poetry came first, and the movement and everything else was more a response to the space once we got in the space together.
Thank you. So no, this is fascinating. I'm very interested in these processes because I believe that a lot of poets will evolve in their work, will pursue rather than evolve, will pursue in their work in the future these type of multimodal forms of expression. And obviously this presents a challenge as much as opportunities. And one of the challenges is that we poets try to work by ourselves. You know, I sit down in front of the computer or with a notebook and I start writing, and then write more, and then write more, and then write more, and I'm by myself all the time. Although I'm getting obviously all the inputs from everything else around me in my life, etc. But it's a very solitary work, that of the poet. Yet your form of creation is very much a team effort, and I guess that there's a lot of negotiation going on, and that as an artist you have to go with a different state of mind, with a different approach. Yeah? It's not your own sublime art; it's the sublime art of everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. And just to speak to that a little, although, yeah, the work of the poet is usually a solitary thing, I have since then, since the Book of Witching, been working on community poems, so collaboratively created with community groups. I'm working as part of an intergenerational performance company, part of a EU fund called Performing Gender, Dancing in Your Shoes. And this is working with Yorkshire Dance in the communities of Hare Hills and Chapeltown in Leeds. And one of the things that I did there was create a series of community poems with them based simply on the sentence stems I come from, ... and my body is ...
Yeah.
And came up with some really, really lovely stuff, which really gave a flavour of where everyone was coming from, their different stories, their backgrounds, their experiences, and really some lovely poems came out of that. So it's possible to collaboratively create poems.
Yeah. We've done that in this event. We've done collaborative poems around a motif. We put a picture, and then people with a mobile phone contribute with their lines and their thoughts to make a collective poem. We experimented that as well, and it's published. The result is published. Anyway, I think we are perhaps talking too much and showing too little. Can we watch the video of the Book of Witching? Yes, okay, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. I'm going to share sound of the share sound and share image. Okay, and here it is.
Ways that children with mushroom-shaped heads can save our world. These nihilistic children in politics sit anxious round tables expected to save us. Welcome to your summer holiday art provision. These nihilistic children in 1819 would have been working or wed. She is 14. Nuclear fission for ahead. I am wise woman. Hear me spore. I've been brought in to inspire them. Live fast, die young. I whisper to dot dash blinking eyes through my surgical mask. Is everyone listening? Can I ask you to consider the magic of mushrooms?
There is a lass in Lee, hanging pom-poms on a tree, a shrine for these women as witches. Red currant with effort, brass-tipped, two-headed, myth mingles pikes, pomp, resistance. Underfoot are archival items, fire-weaving, winged creatures, a proud chicken, ferocious women. They drop bad alphabet bombs, spit struggle like a sigil, be firm, remain where you are. Politics hasn't changed all that much, really. I'm afraid class identity is still not trending.
swallow the idea of revolution, semen and the breastbone, the carcass of the factory chicken. Make a wish, split yourself in two, split yourself in four, you are after all a woman. I was in the Brownies. I was leader of the Pixies, 6 do-gooding girls. Dance, monkey, dance. My second in command is a detective now in the Greater Manchester Police Force. Fat green snakes sprout from my scalp, handcuff me to a tree. Runway 3, HS2. They try to drown us in rules.
Take one, lady of the beasts, hunkered down on haunches, naked, filthy, and covered in buns, slowly caramelized, vigorous, dripping in sweat and saliva, blitz, internalized structures. Smash them, ice cubes for a cocktail. Oil up seats with eye of mute. Whisper, crazy plant lady. About carbon sequestering, silky, soft, sea green foliage. Dismantle ecocidal maniacs. One plant. One careful slice at a time.
Don't call me a pussy, unless it's to do with a riot. I am not one of your fat rats. I am quite obviously one of the oppressed classes, smashing rose-tinted glasses, drinking from the fountain of ruthlessness. Get up off your fucking arse. I'll be the Pied Piper of Westminster if you like. Fuck knows we need one. We cannot expect Bo or Andy Burnham to save us. Bearded Jesus has not been feline that helpful either. Bearded ladies feel the fever rise. We just need some leaders. Feel like holding a seance. Leaders and revolutionaries only in the past. We just need someone to lead us to defeat these billionaire twats while everyone thinks you can't herd cats.
You can tell us by the shape of our noses. We are cannibalistic, anti-capitalist. We stand for her land. We are glass smashing, ball breaking, night flight taking, infant death causing, difficult women. We laugh loudly, scream in a gaggle, wearing satin sashes saying Tasha's Endu 2K19 in Blackpool. We plot, stir, bake, shake, create. We take our knickers off in the care home. The Lee female reformers raised their heads as one beast. In industry they gnarled their hands, in conspiracy they plotted, poison drunk they beat on drums, shape-shifting through hedgerows, fringing snags on branches, whispering and whittling, devilry in citizenry. Writhing Medusa hair flicks cast long shadow. Weavers' threads tangle and entwine, not time, graced by all the weapons and symbols of power. The many-headed monster overturns earth and cracks stones, revolts notions of delicacy. In this place, the manticore, the spectral power, the harpies saw.
It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoyed.
It's amazing. I don't know if anybody wants to ask you anything about this. This is open for questions. I'm obviously interested in many things here. I could be talking with you for days about this work and what it means, not just for you, but for me and for others. The you are using language about women, witchery, the idea of the harpies, which at least in Spanish, I didn't know until I heard about your book that the word harpy in English can also be used as a negative word to refer to women who are loud. In Spanish, it's also very negative, although it means something different. Arpía. You are repurposing words that are negative and embracing them for a positive agenda, for a positive narrative. Um, do you think this is something that can be change in society? In what way can this contribute to change in society?
Yeah, well, I mean, as poets, we probably all of us agree here how powerful language is, right? And how much nuance and difference there is in one word, according to who's saying it, how it's said, in what context, etc. So yeah, for sure, reclaiming language and repurposing it is important. I've actually got witch tattooed on my inner arm, so that was obviously an act of rebranding. And that's something that I've claimed as a sort of identity almost. And now my process with the term witch is really more about expanding the notion of what witch is or can be, and really sort of coming to the conclusion that to be witch is to be other in some way. And so for me, it's expanded way beyond the concept of woman. And this is the point at which, anyone who's been oppressed, in terms of any intersection, can sort of relate to that experience of being othered in some way. And it's at that point that the categories kind of break down as well. So yeah, it's important work, isn't it, to kind of challenge language and keep it evolving. And it's something that I'm definitely engaged in. And also mythology and culture, like it's a continual act of creation. So in a way, my process with this theme of the witch, which I'm exploring through my movement, through poetry, but also through my connection to the natural world and my life more broadly, not just my work as an artist. It's part of my spiritual, artistic, everything development. And I see it as a really holistic thing. Witch. trying to expand.
Yeah, fantastic. Anybody would like to ask anything?
I'm seeing an interesting connection, Izzy, with Susan's work, because Susan's written a lot about witches and kind of women in history, and I just think there's a really great connection to be made with that. What do you think?
Well, I'll look forward to hearing some of your work then, Susan.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
Yes, we have a lot of connections with all these themes as well. As you know, through other metaphors. I use the metaphor of the insurgent artisan to represent a woman who is the other and wants to transform. But sometimes I feel that, you know, we need also, whether it is from men poets or any other poets, to create these alternatives visions of humanity, you know, for men as well. You know,
It reminded me of that poem I read last year called Witch's Knickers. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do. Witch's Knickers, yeah. So yes.
But when people are reading, it's a good idea if we just kind of mute ourselves. Otherwise, there is a potential for noise.
No, I am. I just opened it so I could say.
No, I wasn't commenting on you, Anne. It's just.
Okay, we are going to play another video called A Difficult Week. This is your own soul work, and ours is a much shorter video, yeah. So we can. I think it doesn't require any contextualization. Yeah, do you agree, Izzy? It's quite self-explanatory. Let me see. Amazing. Here obviously the sorry, I need to. Your body expression, your movements are, you know, are a story in itself. You know.
Lockdown times, yeah, when you've just got a small space in your house and a white wall behind you, and you want to make something. And it's been a difficult week. And it really just is. I think when we see things like that, that's a way of processing for me, a way of processing world events, personal events. I will dance it out and I will write it out, and if a thing comes out that I want to share with the world out of that, then so be it. That poem, the writing there is lines from a longer poem that's more formed, you know, into a more, as you would expect a poem to be. So that's been published in a magazine in that longer form, and then this was kind of an adaptation of that. Yeah.
But the movement of your body, it communicates so much. It's incredible the amount of things that I perceive by simply looking at your face and your arms and the rhythm and the broken rhythm. It's amazing, very plastic, as we say in Spanish. There's nothing plasticity, the plasticity of your movement. Amazing. And then I think we have another video poem, short one as well, called Biscuits and Burnout. Okay, let me. These videos are in Vimeo. I guess that people can access to them. We can put the links in places, etc.
Oh, you're on mute, Antonio, still.
Yeah, I really like the music as well, and I checked out who the compositor is. Called Winter Gayton, isn't it?
Yes, and he very kindly allows people to use his music. I think you just sort of pay a $5 or 10 or 20 quid on his website for rights to use his music.
Yeah, that's Winter Gayton. I just wanted to give Winter Gayton a little bit of recognition as well, because I think he's amazing.
Absolutely amazing, yeah. And if anyone's seen the amazing marble machine that's in the profile picture there in action, if you've not seen it, have a look.
Can you tell us a little bit, Izzy, about the first video? There's the dance, there's the poetry, and the film, and the film's wonderful. So was it dance, poetry, and then the film was kind of put together, edited, and how did that work? And how did you decide on the ways the images went?
In the first piece, the Book of Witching, yeah. So some of the, I have like quite a huge body of work that's related to the witch. So some of the poetry was already existing and was repurposed for the commission. Some of it was written in response to the visual art exhibition. Some of it was written just in response to doing a bit more research about that period in history and the events of the Lee female reformers and how that all went down. And so the writing really, we went to visit the exhibition, obviously, and we had a bit of like R&D time in there to just get a sense of it, and spoke to the artists and chatted a bit more in depth about their process. And we went away and we both wrote. And then we just came back with whatever we had. And it's really through a process of play. So Louise, who I collaborated with, she's really, she's super easygoing, brilliant to collaborate with, very much just flows. you know, those collaborations where it really does just flow between you. So we'd communicate by email, get a few ideas together of maybe images that we wanted to explore or spatial ideas. So once we got into the gallery space, it was super chaotic. There was often workmen making loads of noise and ruining every time we tried to film something. The light was a nightmare, you know, the sound as well. It's a very echoey space. You could probably hear in some of the so yeah, it was challenging in some respects, but also unfolded with a lot of ease in others. But the words, I guess, sort of come first, and the movement from the themes, and the space, and just the experience of being in the space. If that answers.
And the colors, I mean, the colors you are actually quite different in each of the videos. And the first one, the colors are really rich and kind of expansive. So was that what you were after? That was what you were after, was it, sort of?
The colors, yeah. The space was quite difficult because of they had like specific lighting in the space, but then obviously some of the filming that we did outside on the roof of the gallery. So the Turnpike in Lee has a really nice roof space. So yeah, each one's kind of a standalone thing, and we've put it together in a way that kind of flows. But yeah, they are different. I suppose I don't think we really thought too much about the colours. We thought about our costume, yeah, between the red and the white. But other than that, I think we need someone to do some colour grading for us.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you so much, Izzy. We hope to see you many other times here, and also the other poets as well. It would be wonderful to have them here one day, to have Luis as well. And yeah, it's been a real privilege to show your work in this event. And yeah, I hope we remain in contact and do more things. Okay.
Thanks very much, Antonio.
Okay, so we are. I'm going to remind you what we are doing today. This is our list of poets, and our next poet is Robert Haynes, who is now in the United States, in Laredo. Is that correct, Rob? Hello, Robert. Let me see. Oh, you need to unmute. Yeah. Hello, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm in South Texas. I'm about a mile from the Rio Grande. Can you hear me all right? Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Okay.
You sent me. Well, it's not the first time in Transforming with Poetry. We have the pleasure to have your work presented here, like probably 2-3 months ago, and now you have a new collection coming up called the Deadly Shadow of the Wall. Is that correct?
Yes. That will be out this fall, and the first 3 of the poems I've chosen to read are from that collection. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the screen with the text of the poems, so that it can be easier to follow if anybody prefers this way. I find it easier to follow poetry when I'm also reading, but you know, you don't have to look at it if you don't want to. Okay, so here is the screen with the poems in the order that you sent me, Robert, and all yours.
All right. Okay. As I said, these 3 poems are in my my next collection from Finishing Line Press, which will be out this fall. And I'm just going to work through these. Don't look at me. Fangs, drool, splintering bones, shrieks. You can't hide here, they'll get us all. And mercy doesn't jump in when you call. Heavy footsteps approach, the floor squeaks. You put down that stupid volume of crap and thought a clever voice from a sad past might entertain like a bittersweet blast, but now you face this final hideous trap, grim and greedy, mortal, your nightmare from that dark, dangerous, destructive place where poetry rips off your foolish face and cuts you, leaves you staggering there. I tried to warn you. Tried stumblingly, but love just smirked and said, "Don't look at me." Stella Adler tells her grandfather clock how to tick. Don't tick like that. Where does your steel come from? What little elf in Switzerland shaped your soul with magic crafty hand? Get rid of logic. Don't think. Just feel how clockness pins you up inside, although time keeps chortling as you labor on to grab it thus. Oh no, too bad, it's gone. You always tick too fast or else too slow, but here's your big mistake, Grandpa, right here. You always chime the same, like this. Come on, you say. I say, you say that wrong, unless I hear your desperate mortal fear. The pawn shop looms, the landfill calls for you, unless you do just what I say to do. Freshwater jellyfish head for the rapids. No, I didn't think you so much hated me as wished I were the hell off somewhere where few good things ever happened there, and I no longer strangle liberty. Let me blame shortcomings on my birth. For Grandpa Jellyfish did fight for the South, and Grandma liked to operate her mouth sometimes for what the scolding sound was worth. And in my childhood, several hurricanes played hell with slash pines in our yard and must have made early learning hard as heavy thunder shook my jiggling brains. Yet still, I dream that irresistible dream of turning back and making haste upstream. Think of it this way. As metaphors, we navigate, baubled, one visual flow, while parallel-wise in the mind we go, bobbing and drifting capriciously within our own spheres most concerned, inwardly intoxicated, greedily absorbing and perceiving, happy to be with idle pleasures studiously learned, until unscrolling of the mind declares, Horresco referens. Blank solitude suddenly evicts the sweet interlude and clotheslines our hero unawares. Can any reversal on this table produce a fitting outcome for this fable. The Ballad of the Half-Remembered Panic. When the ancient mariner was a lad, he left the seminar on the politics and strolled down by College Creek to watch the gulls' political tricks, and nursed an injured heart and mind wherein intrusive eyes had played, regardless of his susceptibility, more havoc than the stage-right made. The moon gleamed like a fatal blade as marsh frogs yelped their lusty tunes, and the bloody-minded dragonflies sketched out in flight ominous cartoons. On his return to human rooms, he choked in panic as moderation loomed up like hell before his face to kill Socratic conversation. He said a small prayer for Catullus in words which were 2/3 sincere, and her roommate emerged from the closet and wished him a happy new year. Another ballad. Ballad of the Two Connoisseurs of Nothing. I give you everything, she said with a queenly air, and I looked around and I beheld that there was nothing there. She said, the wealth of human life is glowing in your face. I warn you now to spend it not completely in one place. Oh, how we laughed at her fine wit and danced upon the plains and waved umbrellas at the stars in a place that never rains. Our flying feet like Mercury's flew passionately through time and rose up to the darkening moon and turned upon a dime. And we looked down upon the sphere rotating like a top. And then we raced the sunrise home lest hallelujahs stop. Take heed, then spoke a passing owl. For wisdom can escape, and do not laugh at nothing now, nor mock its fearsome shape. I learned this warning in Ixtlan, back when I still flew south, and heard it in Pochotitan from a great bruja's mouth. See, I do have a witch in here.
Yeah, that's a witch in Spanish.
More news from the continent. Epigraph. And sooner shall the sun fall from his sphere than Tamburlaine be slain or overcome. Marlowe. So now the old men are sending in the tanks, and what the hell, why not, they think. Let's die like Stalin with a room full of toys. No law of nature prevents a fool from being a bully. No decency invariably will hasten to wash away pollution which regenerates itself. I see an image of a sensitive face, a Renaissance knight whose avid eyes yearn for destruction. His armor, too, betrays his passion for cruel conquest, its brutal images boasting of force. Oh, boys and girls, throw yourselves down before this terror of the playground. These cats have no fear of the worms. Wow, we whisper as they stride our way. There, but for the grace of God. When little John Keats read an old book and saw himself with Homeric eyes, he became that violent warrior, Cortez, staring at the ocean, a checkmated giant. But sweet-hearted poets never estimate ambition right. A room full of gold outweighs the few twisted laurels inspiration craves. And the wreck of the city built high in the clouds is the passionate dream of the conquistador. I came, I saw, I destroy, he exalts. Here by Ares, I avenge my dirty diapers and all my candy once dropped in the sand. Just die, grown-ups, you're looking at the man. See, I'm on television, watch it and weep. My armies don't have to pick up their toys.
That was amazing. Thank you, Robert. We hope to have you here again anytime you want. I mean, you are more than welcome.
It's a pleasure being with you all, and I'm honored to be with all of you.
That last poem definitely captures the spirit of the times in no uncertain manner.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
It does, yeah. Sadly, it does, yeah. I didn't want to talk about the war. I just decided to have my screen with sunflower fields, allegedly in Ukraine. But yeah, this is something that we all are, going through at the moment in different ways. I just like to have a little bit of only 1 minute to a friend of mine who is now with her 2 children, her mother-in-law. They've gone to the border with the EU. Her husband has gone back because he has to serve, and they are trying to get somewhere here. And there are hundreds of thousands of people at this time, more than 1 million or more than 2 million perhaps, right now, either in one side of the border or in the other, fleeing from persecution. So this is not new in history, of course, but when it's so close physically and personally to us, I think it feels different. So yeah, I like to express my anger and my solidarity with everybody who is suffering there. Okay, so we're going to continue with Susan.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Susan.
I unfortunately don't have copies on screen for people to read because I didn't know that I would be reading. So I've cobbled something together. Now, I have been writing poetry about the women and girls who lost their lives during the Great War. Tommy's sisters, as we can call them. They filled the shells with TNT, were blown up, were driven mad, and were poisoned. And they've been largely forgotten, and we're working very hard to shine a light on their lives. So a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not sure whether every single piece of information in my poem is correct, but I've had to use my imagination to add to the information that I found from the census and from birth and death certificates. So this is a work in progress and it's called Soap Bubbles. Old gods die when people forget. People get forgotten too. So let's remember their stories before they are gone, like soap bubbles. Like Mary Ann, a life captured by each census of a short life. Mary Ann, a life scrubbed from the face of history. Mary Ann, a life imbued with the smell of boiled cotton and cordite. A life lost too soon. It's 1901 and you are 6, runny-nosed and raggedy-arsed, your dad infirm and unable to work, your mum not young, not well. And money is too tight for toys around Staincross Common, Barnsley. But a piece of wire twisted into a circle with water and a slice of soap makes bubbles. Mary Ann, blowing bubbles to the wind. Did you wish you could harness them and fly to a better world of dreams? Fast forward. It's 1911 and you are 16, an orphan, in a home for waifs and strays in St. Chad's, Headingley in Leeds. They signed you over, your older siblings. Were they unable or unwilling to care? Or were you just a mouth too far to feed? I expect you're put to work in the laundry. Steam billowing as cracked little hands slap that linen. Mary Ann, in our memory, forever blowing bubbles in soapy beauty, rainbow tinted, vulnerable bubbles blown to the wind. Did you feel them on your skin, Mary Ann, as you scrubbed the sheets? Did you watch them pop as you turned the handle of the mangle? Maybe your hands are rough and red, or your back a little sore. Maybe you laughed and sang with the other girls as the soap tickled your nose, got into your eyes, made you sneeze. Mary Ann, living a life full of dreams, imbued with the smell of freshly ironed linen. Mary Ann, grateful for the friends, skills, and not being on the street. Laundry work would be hard for a young girl, but it is a living, a lifesaver with hopes for the future. Fast forward to 1917, the Great War. Now you're at Barnbow, the shell filling station, in quite a different world. You fill those shells with TNT. Independent and earning a good wage. The world at your feet, lured by the excitement of the money or the pull of duty. Your hammer beats that yellow dust down. You sneeze, unaware of the poison billowing in the air, filling your eyes, your nose, your lungs, your liver. Your life now imbued with toxic yellow powder, not soft, not cleansing, not rainbow tinted, but an unpoppable, permanent poison. This work is also hard, but this time it's a life taker. Mary Ann, yours a life with no future. Your dreams couldn't protect you. Mary Ann, your name, your story, never to be captured in the 1921 census. When I found you, they had you down as just MA. But let's say your name again, Mary Ann, before you disappear like soap bubbles. Thank you. This one, again, is rather grim. Again, it relates to Barnbow, the filling station during the Great War. Barnbow in Leeds. And in December 1916, there was a huge explosion which took the lives of many girls and women, and many died in the weeks and months later, and some years later from shock or their injuries. So, and the explosion took place in room 42. So room 42, National Filling Factory number 1, of Barnbow. The fog crept on kitten cat paws, a comforting grey blanket, holding a hint of frost and coal dust. Bye, ma'am, see you later. Maggie Barker, 17, might have called, closing the door, heading for her last shift at the National Filling Factory number 1. Tuesday, 5th of December, 1916, the fog, tiger-like, padded around Barnbow, a yellow miasma, engorged with TNT and cordite, staining skin, entering lungs and livers, tapping sulphurous claws on doors, windows, widows of Filling Factory number 1, watching, waiting for the inevitable. At 10:27 p.m, with a monster roar, it came, earth and ear shattering, with screams and scattered limbs and hisses of scalding water running scarlet, plumes of toxic fumes and the smell of blood. The fog sucked it in, that scene designed by Dante. Then, satisfied with its carnage, it turned its yellow eyes towards the city, whilst those remaining picked up the pieces of room 42. And I'd just like to say that at the time, because of the Defence of the Realm Act, it was covered up. So, and for years and years, people didn't know. And it would appear that the Roll of Honour, there are people on it that didn't die on the night and people that didn't die till much later. So there were mistakes made, but you can understand that. I mean, given the carnage. So that's the Barnbow ones. I'll read something a little bit more light now. And this one's not about Benin. It's called Dragon. Dragon, primary painted in yellow, red, or mosaiced in blue and green, a golden-eyed chaser of the sun's sweet apples, you terrible toothed nightmare, you five-clawed frightmare. But you are earth, you are iron, you are steel, you are mighty monster, mining the earth's molten magna, fire breather, fire eater, flame thrower, earth walker, earth stalker. But light, when it ricochets off your plated back, can sparkle like diamonds caught in the sun. You're beautiful, mystical. You are sky, a wind walker, wind stalker, massive and majestic. Your splendor silhouetted against the moon as you roll on scaled belly, as you trawl for its silver apples, to calm, to cool, to quench, to turn your fire into midnight mist, to await the maiden's kiss. Dragon, dragon, dragon. Thank you. And something this is when you look at the sun and think the sun might act like a creature. So this is called the lizard of the sun. The sun aloft like an unblinking eye, a golden beam skitter on clattering claws. Scorched rays scurry on small scaled feet across sizzling sands, and lights dance like a rainbow skin, a colour changing chameleon of bright, blinding white light. And with quicksilver speed, she scampers, her light ballets across desert wastes, slipping through fingers like shining grains of sand. Sunlight, elusive and darting, sunbeams free of care, flash like diamonds on a plated back, basking on desert stones. But then the sun, she sinks with bands of orange ribbon in lilac streamers, peeping, hiding. She sleeps until the dawn, while moonbeams play among the prickly pears. This one. Go back to the Grimm again. And over 100 years ago in America, girls and women painted the clocks that shone in the dark, clocks and watches. And they were encouraged to lick their brushes, not to waste paint. And they weren't told, or they didn't realize that the paint they were using was made from radium. And the girls and women took this huge corporation to court to try to win their case. And some were taken into court on their deathbeds, but they did win. So this is called Still Glowing in Their Graves. And the radium watch face painters. 100 years encased in lead, 6 feet under. They still glow in their graves, sacrificed for profit. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, dip and lip, dip and lip. Paint the luminous dials, dip and lick, brush to lips. Don't waste a drop. You really don't know that your number is already up. Tick, tock, tick, tock, dip, lip, paint. Serve your country, green, shimmering, shiny fairy, once a glowing goddess, now a ghost. Tick, tock, tick, tock, dip, lip, paint. It'll make your cheeks rosy. Paint those watch dials, your teeth, your skin, your lips. Glow, girl, glow. It's completely harmless. It'll do you good. Tick, tock, tick, tock, dip, lip and dip that radium paint 6 times every dial, 200 dials a day. Dip and lick. Dip and lick, don't waste a drop. You, the walking dead. Tick, tock, tick, and tock. Now, so if your teeth are falling out and your jaw is crumbling and tumours invade your body and you've lost a limb, and what if you're rotting from within? It's not our paint. It's you. Poor personal hygiene. Syphilis, feminine hysteria. Glowing girl, now go girl, go die. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Time's running out for the walking ghosts, but time enough to make that corporation pay. Tick, tock, tick tock. Tell me it won't happen again. Tell me lessons have been learned. Huh. Tell me the innocent won't be sacrificed for profit, but I won't believe you. Tick tock, tick tock, tick, 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 tick. Thank you. How am I doing for time?
I think
Have I run out of time?
I think, well, there's not such a thing as running out of time, but I think we need to
Move on.
Move on.
Right. Thank you.
I think thank you so much. Yeah, I think you've been probably 12 minutes, probably. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Bea. Bea is in Poland, and she's joining
Hello,
us from Poland
everyone.
today. Before Bea, we have Anne, and I'm conscious that Bea has a baby that perhaps will need her soon. Okay, so we're going to move into Anne and then Bea and myself. Okay, right. Anne Rhodes, how are you?
I'm fine. I've found a couple of ones that you haven't got copies of,
Okay.
which I will do first.
Okay.
And then
Okay. So you want to do
Right,
first
and
the ones?
the ones
yeah.
you've got copies of afterwards.
Okay.
Right. The first one, the dictionary definition of war is strife between nations. But this poem's called The Emotion of War. War is noise, be it bombs, bullets, or screams. Knowing this fighting might wreck your dreams. War is loyalty to country or clan, doing your best to help your fellow man. War is fear for the safety of your friends, your family, and those your heart apprehends. Fear of injury, whether yours or theirs. Fear comes in multiples, not in pairs. Not just fear of the war itself alone, but fear of betrayal you can't condone. War is despair and anger and heartache at all the decisions you're forced to make. War is death, so busy and working both sides, dying in pain, in fear, where hope just collides with faith that your country has got it right. War is walking straight into that dark night where hope is gone and death has won again, the struggles and despair beyond our ken. A belief that peace will be easier found if leaders could find some common ground instead of saying war is the only way to sort our problems, make the enemy pay.
Thank you.
Another one on a similar theme. Death, destruction, or peace. Countries gang up against other countries. Clans have fought other clans since time began, fighting till the other side is on its knees, beaten, conquered, submission to a man. Is the world poison itself or not? En masse or one family at a time? Killing of those whom the world forgot? Do they think all those lives not worth a dime? Sarin gas or similar in one place, or Novichok for enemies from the past? Not brave enough to kill folk face to face, they die from an unseen chemical blast. Our instinct now is to retaliate, to send bombs and lots of empty words, in the vain hope that death will now abate, that peace will reign forever onwards. We should talk, but will they listen to us? If we leave them to fight among each other, will they settle or carry on the blitzes? Will they try for peace instead of conquer? If all the citizens are doomed to die from bombs or poisons, rained upon them daily. Soon, no one would be left there by and by to pay homage or to bend the knee. Why can't we think kindly of our brethren, accept that peace worldwide is what to aim for, that harmony should always be our doctrine, refuse to fight always for evermore? Thank you. Right, the two that I sent you copies of, please.
Okay, I'll play them on. Hang on a second.
Because I haven't got one in front of me, so.
No, it's okay. I will share them. I just need 10 seconds. Make it a bit bigger, and then share, and then screen, and then bang.
Thank you.
So these are the ones I have.
Yeah.
Can you all see it? Yeah.
Yeah, two on again on a similar theme. Getting lost. In theory, it's no longer possible to get lost whilst out driving your car. The sat-nav can lead you both near and far. Relaxed, peaceful driving, nothing can mar. The 3x3 will find you in a flash, whether walking in town or countryside. If you need rescue, they'll quickly decide how to reach you. All safety rules applied. Being told to get lost by your close friend is upsetting twice times over for you. You've lost your best pal, a fact you will rue, as months follow years in the people queue. When you approach old age, your thoughts get lost. They sort of mix up and come out all wrong, which is sad. When in youth ideas were strong, able to use words either short or long. You lost. Little doggy who went walkabout felt sure he'd get home without a doubt. He'd walked around the big public park. The whole morning had been a great lark. Now he wandered up the road to town, tried to be nosy, but told to get down. He looked in some shops, but got chased away, then gone sniffing in some parking bay. Later, some children bouncing a ball, each trying to kick towards the wall. They shouted at him when he joined in. They really did make a fair bit of din. By now, his thoughts were centered on food. He'd waited where the chip shop people queued. But all he got from them was a single chip. So he tried to settle and have a kip. He really wants to go back home because his tangled fur really needed a comb. This lost little dog needed a big map and some time curled up on his mum's lap. He was hungry and lost, then heard his name. His dad's voice, over and over it came. No longer lost, because his dad was here. Tail now wagging, because rescue was here.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. It's good that we finished in a different note.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we have too much going on at the moment. With,
yes.
Yeah. So this space is also perhaps a way of I don't know, a form of escapism in some respects, with some poems at least. And, thank you. So now it's time. Thank you so much, Anne. So now it's time for Bea. Hola, Bea.
Hola, hello everyone. Greetings from Poland.
How are you? Okay.
Yes, I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah, no, we are delighted to have you here. Es un placer tenerte aquí.
Yo también estoy encantada.
We met Bea through Ariel Miller, one of our friends, poets who participate actively in transforming with poetry, and Bea produced some translations into Polish of work that had been written originally in Spanish, and Bea was part of the team of founding translation. We had a workshop in October, open to everyone, in which people walked into different online rooms and different teams and chose poems to translate and work together. And we have published this in the webpage of Transforming with Poetry, which I'm about to show. Where it is? Here it is. Screen 2. So as you can see, this is an example of what we've done. This is Transforming with Poetry, Poesía Indignada. For those of you who don't know it, this is a website for political poetry that I started in 2013, and it's been the host of many different initiatives, including this one of Transforming with Poetry and founding translation. Founding translation. So this is one of the poets by Carlos Drummond de Andrade that was translated from Portuguese into Farsi, Spanish, and Polish. And I was going to do a translation into English, but I was too busy and I didn't have time, so I'll leave it for another time. But we can show the poem in Portuguese in a video, and then Bea can read it in Polish.
Não serei o poeta de um mundo caduco. Também não cantarei o mundo futuro. Eu estou preso à vida. E olho os meus companheiros. Estão taciturnos, mas nutrem grandes esperanças. Entre eles considero a enorme realidade. O presente é tão grande. Não nos afastemos. Não nos afastemos muito. Vamos de mãos dadas. Não serei o cantor de uma mulher, de uma história. Não direi os suspiros ao anoitecer, a paisagem vista da janela. Não distribuirei entorpecentes ou cartas de suicida. Não fugirei para as ilhas, nem serei raptado por serafins. O tempo é minha matéria. O tempo presente, os homens presentes, a vida presente.
So just a little summary. At the end, he says, the poet, time is my matter, or I'm made of time. And it's a commitment of the poet to the present time, to the people who are around us. So here is the poem in Farsi, translated for our friend Samar. Here is the poem in Spanish, translated by Ariel. And here is in Polish, translated by Bea. Bea, ¿quieres leerlo?
Sí, claro, claro. Trzymajmy się za ręce. Nie będę poetą zwiędłego świata. Nie wyśpiewam też świata przyszłości. Jestem więźniem życia i przyglądam się bacznie moim przyjaciołom. Są przebudzeni, ale mają wielkie oczekiwania. Między nimi postrzegam rzeczywistość. Teraźniejszość jest tak wielka. Nie męczmy się. Nie męczmy się zbytnio. Trzymajmy się za ręce. Nie będę tym, kto śpiewa o kobiecie, o historii. Nie odetchnę z ulgą nocą, ani na widok tego, co mam za oknem. Nie będę sprzedawać narkotyków, ani listów samobójców. Nie ucieknę na wyspy, ani nie będę porwany przez anioły. Czas jest moją materią. Teraźniejszość, obecni ludzie, obecne życie.
Wonderful. I could understand the last bit when you said that time is my own matter, you know, such as moja materia here at the bottom. Wonderful. El tiempo es mi materia, time is my matter, the present time, the present people, the present life. Is very much a point against the temptations of being the poet of a withering world or the poet of a future world. You know, he feels prisoner of life and his friends around him. So that was the first poem, and then the second is a bit shorter. Is by Manuel Barrios, and here it is in Portuguese. I can read it quickly in Portuguese, even though I can't speak Portuguese. But as coisas não querem mais ser vistas por pessoas razonáveis. Elas desejam ser olhadas de azul, que nem uma criança que você olha dave. It was translated as the things no longer want to be seen by reasonable people. They want to be seen in blue, to be the child you stared at, pen like. And then, Bea,
Rzeczy. Rzeczy nie chcą być dłużej widziane przez ludzi racjonalnych. One chcą być widziane na niebiesko. Nawet dziecko, które ty postrzegasz jako ptaka, nie widzi niebieskiego.
fantastico. And then finally, it's a point of mine. This is another project called Poesía Artemis, La Crátera de Ártemis. And it's a poet in which, it's a project in which students of Spanish from different universities in the world translate Spanish poetry into the language of their country. So we have a group of students in Poland in the University of Łódź, and they have been contributing to this website. And they decided, it wasn't me who asked them to translate this. They decided to translate one of my poems because they liked it, so I'm very proud of it. And this one has been translated by Kamila Żukowska. Thank you, Kamila. And there are many more poems in Polish, well, translated from Spanish into Polish from the University of Łódź. And this poem has been read out in Polish, and the recording here in the website in Polish is from Bea. And I was going to translate it into English, or at least produce a summary in English, but I didn't have the energy or the time. I'll do it another time. But this is a poem that I dedicated to somebody called Pepe. He's a real person called Pepe. He's a man in my city of birth who is so generous that he created for himself a lot of problems. You never can imagine, anything being wrong with being generous. But yet, if you are so generous that whenever somebody who you barely know approaches you asking you for 40 euros because you have to pay a bill, or because you need to buy some equipment for your children or whatever, and he actually says, okay, I'll go out to a cash point and give you money, you can create problems for yourself. And this poem was written when I went to Spain, and I was there at the time I was visiting. I was there at the time in which the crisis of 2007 was hitting very hard, and there were people who were struggling with real needs. And I saw Pepe in action. I saw how he was approached. I was talking with him, and he was approached by somebody, and very discreetly he left me and said, I'll be back later. And then I found out what it was. And this young man was actually borrowing money or asking for money. And I was really moved when I found out by a common friend that once the neighbors of Pepe had to call the police in the middle of the night because there were several people around his house, you know, trying to see him to get money. And of course, this, you know, caused some disturbances in the neighborhood, like what's happening there? Who are these people? So this is dedicated to him. And the poem in Spanish explain the sadness, the solitude of the person in need as he walks from the streets of the city, and how suddenly the generosity of Pepe transformed his life into a light of, you know, provisional, big flush of light of provisional abundance. So I will play the recording of the poem, and then Bea can read it in Polish. Andar circunspecto, espalda cargada, cuello gordo, santa calva, gotas de sangre reseca de no saberse afeitar. Acompañado de un ángel sin alas, de los que marchan cansinos a ritmo de tambor de tripa agrio, por calles de saldo, por plazas de lástima. Ese día, el fuego de los infiernos decidió apaciguarse por un rato, para no llamar mucho la atención, temeroso de que aquello fuese un aviso de su fin. Esa noche, la luna cuadrada y blanca, silenciadora, vacía, fuente única de luz en la vigilia despiadada, quedó eclipsada de bienes y calórico resplandor. Y a la mañana siguiente, el ángel echó a andar, sin ritmo que seguir, con paso gozosamente deslavazado. Y ya en la calle, rebuscó en el contenedor de su memoria una canción para su dicha, un compás donde olvidar. So that's the poem in Spanish. I think it can be translated into English, but as I said, I sometimes forget to look back and see what can be recycled into another language, etc. But it's been in Polish, you know, so it's been translated into Polish. So, Bea.
Pepe. Ostrożny chód, spięte plecy, gruba szyja, czcigodna łysina, krople zaschniętej krwi, z nieporadności przygoleni. W towarzystwie anioła bez skrzydeł, z tych, którzy idą zmęczeni, w rytmie kwaśnego bębna wnętrzności, przez ulice pełne złomu, przez place godne pożałowania. Tego dnia ogień piekieł postanowił przygasnąć na chwilę, by pozostać niezauważonym, z obawy, że to byłby jego koniec. Tej nocy kwadratowy biały księżyc, milczący, pusty, jedyne źródło światła, w czasie niewzruszonego czuwania, został przyćmiony dobrem i gorącym blaskiem. I następnego poranka anioł począł iść w nierównym rytmie, krokiem radośnie swobodnym. I już na ulicy szukał w zakamarku pamięci pieśni dla swej radości, drogi do miejsca zapomnienia.
Wonderful, thank you. And Bea has suggested, Bea había sugerido también leer un poema de una poeta, a poet, a female poet, Susanna Ginczanka.
Ginczanka.
Yeah. I'm going to share the text on the screen so that you can take us through it. Tell us a little bit. Dinos un poco. Si quieres que decirlo en español y yo te traduzco, o como quieras lo hacemos, ¿vale?
Puedo leer esta nota en inglés.
Muy bien.
Simplemente, sí. Zuzanna Ginczanka was a Polish Jewish poet of the interwar period. Although she published only a single collection of poetry in her lifetime, the book O Centaurach, on centaurs, created a sensation in Poland's literary circles. She was arrested and executed in Kraków shortly before the end of World War II.
And you have produced one of the translations of this poet. Is that correct? Of this poem into Spanish?
Yes, yes. You have the original version in Polish, then an English translation, but not my translation, and at the end a Spanish translation, which I have made.
Yeah, I've read the translation. It's wonderful. I mean, I cannot tell
But
anything about Polish, but you know, as a poem in Spanish is wonderful.
A mí me encanta la versión polaca, la inglesa también, y la mía española, creo que yo tengo todavía algunos problemas con artículos.
No, Bea is saying that she believes she's got some problems with the articles in Spanish. You don't have any at all whatsoever. You know, I teach Spanish language. Trust me, I know you don't have any problem whatsoever.
So, Antonio, which version?
I don't know. We can do the English, then the Polish, and then the Spanish.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do the English as well? Or
could you, Antonio, do the English, and I will read in Polish and Spanish. Mm-hmm.
Okay. At times, hope in me rises. At others, I fear what's in store. Life is too full of surprises. What's coming, be it love or war? Some signs proclaim it is war. Comets, oracle talks. Others claim it is love, the heart of feverish thoughts. A comet flashes above. Headlights also do roar. This spring will spring forth love, not love. Instead, it springs war. This spring will certainly call for much effort from the dove. A spring, oh, it springs forth war, not war. Instead, it springs love. I while away troubled hours, reading the news on the trot, plucking the petals from flowers. He lost me not. Portentous pregnant spring, so different to others I've known. Whatever the future brings, I accept and do not bemoan. Come summer, I will finally see which way my future extends. Both love and war for me lead to absolute ends. Longing draws from on high, the radio delivers dread. When I go, will I fly high or down the low road instead? And then in
and
Polish?
Now, yes. Mm-hmm. Maj 1939. Raz wzbiera we mnie nadzieja, raz jestem niespokojna. Zbyt wiele rzeczy się dzieje, coś przyjdzie, miłość lub wojna. Są znaki, że przyjdzie wojna, kometa, orędzia, mowy. Są znaki, że przyjdzie miłość, serce, zawroty głowy. Kometa błysnęła nocna, gazeta nadbiegła dzienna. O wiosno, wiosno miłosna, nie miłosna, wojenna. Pełnia nadeszła wiosenna i snów ze sobą naniosła. O wiosno, wiosno wojenna, nie wojenna, miłosna. Czytam codziennie dodatki, wnioski z dodatków snuję. Obrywam na kwiatkach płatki, kocha, lubi, szanuje. Brzemienna, wróżebna wiosno, inna od innych wiosen. Cokolwiek byś mi przyniosła, wszystko przyjmę i zniosę. Na maju rozstaju stoję u dróg rozdrożnych i sprzecznych, gdy obie te drogi twoje wiodą do spraw ostatecznych. Tęsknota nadciąga chmurą, wieści przez radio płyną. Czy pójdę górą, czy pójdę doliną?
Muy bien. And now in Spanish. Adelante.
Mayo 1939. Hay veces que la esperanza crece en mí, Otras veces estoy inquieta. Demasiadas cosas ocurren aquí. Algo vendrá, un amor o una guerra. Hay señales que vendrá la guerra, cometas, oráculos, discursos. Hay señales que vendrá el amor, corazones y vértigos constantes. De noche, un cometa resplandeció, un periódico también llegó. La primavera amorosa. No, amorosa no, belicosa. Esta primavera, una luna llena apareció e intranquilos sueños me trajo. La primavera belicosa. No, belicosa no, amorosa. Cada día leo la prensa y de esta mis conclusiones saco. Luego, deshojando margaritas, me pregunto, ¿todavía me quiere o ya no me ama? Esta primavera cargada, prodigiosa, es tan diferente de las que recuerdo. Primavera, puedes traer cualquier cosa, aceptaré y resistiré todas. En mayo, dos rutas contradictorias tengo delante de mí. Ambas me llevarán a lo definitivo sin duda. La nostalgia como una nube viene. Las noticias por la radio fluyen. Andaré por los caminos altos o iré por el valle de abajo. Antonio, no te oímos ahora.
Okay, I was saying que me parece un poema súper interesante. It's a very interesting poem presenting this dichotomy of what the spring can bring and, you know, how it could be the love for war. And great, great poem. And the translation is wonderful. The translation is wonderful.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias. We'll have more things in Polish with you, Bea, and in Spanish, as many times as you want. This is your home.
Thank you very much.
Are you seeing people from Ukraine in Poland now arriving in the place where you are?
Yes, next to our house, there's a stadium, and there we have a refugees, something like a refugees camp. We can donate things there, and yes, and tomorrow we will necesito
¿Vas a llevar algo?
Sí, vamos a llevar el carrito de bebé para donar ahí.
You're going to take the pram of the baby as a donation, or for donations.
Yes, exactly.
See, well, here I'm trying to get my friends from Ukraine, the ones I mentioned before, who are now in the border. This family, I've tried to get them here to Leeds, because, you know, at least they know somebody here. They don't know anybody in Germany. They don't know anybody in other places. So why not here? And it is impossible. It is impossible. It's a network of incomplete information, phone numbers that don't work, links that take you to a link, and then when you go to a link, you go back to the same. It is a total shambles. This country is closed to people from Ukraine, and it's a pity, because there are so many good people in this country, but we have a government of evil, greedy, you know, incompetent as well. Everything. So it's a pity and it's a shame. But I keep saying to my friends, people here are good. You know, it's the government that is not good.
Antonio, lo mismo pasa en Polonia, que toda la ayuda la organizan las personas y, no sé, empresarios y personas privadas. Y el gobierno casi no hace nada, ¿sí? Y estamos a punto de tener una crisis humanitaria aquí. Sí.
Claro. But al menos, la gente puede estar en Polonia. Aquí,
Sí, sí, puede
aquí
estar.
no podemos hacer nada. We can't organize anything here because they are not allowed here.
Ujú. It's because of Brexit? O,
Yeah.
eso pasa por el Brexit, sí. Ujú.
Esto es algo que llevaría varias horas de explicación, pero
Ujú.
básicamente se debe a que el gobierno ha sido capturado por una sección, una facción de la élite financiera que tiene un programa político muy determinado de ultraderecha. Y bueno, no sé si habrán leído que el gobierno de Gran Bretaña tiene, el partido del gobierno en Gran Bretaña y algunos de los medios tienen unas conexiones muy fuertes con el régimen de Putin.
Sí, lo mismo pasa con, porque ahora en Polonia gobierna la extrema derecha y ellos también tienen muchas conexiones con, con Moscú. Eso pasa lo mismo aquí.
Anyway,
I think it's because Boris can't do anything until a fortnight has passed beyond when he should have started. Everything he has done, not just now, but way back, it's been a fortnight after it should have been.
yeah, and
It's so annoying.
it is true, but it's not all the truth because, you know, portraying Boris as somebody who is forgetful and a bit like chaotic, blah, blah, blah. No, I think there is a plan there as well. There are other people around him who shouldn't have forgotten anything. Anyway, Bea, espero que vaya todo bien con la gente allí y espero que la guerra no se expanda a otros sitios, porque supongo que en Polonia habrá gente que tenga miedo de que la guerra se expanda.
Claro. Sí, tenemos miedo, pero lo importante es pararlo ahora en Ucrania porque es horrible lo que pasa ahí con la gente, no solo con los militares, ¿sí? Sino con toda la gente en Ucrania.
Yeah, that is awful what's happening in Ukraine, and people in Poland also have, you know, are fearful of that expanding beyond Ukraine. Bueno, we're going to continue. Let me understand where I am at the moment, where we are. So I think it's now Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hi.
How are you? All right?
Good, yeah.
As good as we can.
You have my poems to put on screen, I think, Antonio, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the screen, yeah. I need a second. So I'm going to bring up the document that you sent me with the poems. Let me see. Open with. And make it bigger, of course. Can it be read? Can you read it well from there, like that?
It's not open yet.
Okay. I'll share again. Yeah.
Probably need to open it before you. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Is it big enough?
Think so.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, Mike is another poet of Leeds that who has been translated into Polish in this website I showed before.
So like everybody, my mind has been on Ukraine. So this was something last week. This poem kind of came to me. It's called When. When will the wound become a scar? The scar, a memory, burnt on the eyelids of Kiev children sleeping tonight below ground, teddy bears scattered, glass strewn under the restless profusion of shattered facades. Tanks brush away their bedtime protest, the drizzle of rockets giving new meaning to rain, a new flare to orange. While through the burgeoning soul darkness, teenage Russian soldiers, unsure of their location, tramp past Babi Yar. Somewhere else, on another plane, in another dimension, in an ice palace north of pity, caught in the exaltation of war, a history maker, one of those chosen by history. A cold plotter tracks them on screen while we were sleeping. Ukraine, Syria, Yemen, when? The sound of battle, sleet, the sound of battle. Their nursery teachers crouched making Molotov cocktails in the square. Their grandmothers learning to use a gun. Packing the station platforms clutched in the grieving arms of their mothers. Their fathers trudging off into the woods, warmed only by the cold glow of their phones. Further and further they go.
Thank you, Mike.
So this is a poem of a kind of different mood and a very different place. It's called The Wall. I had this idea I was going to write a poem called The Wall, and it hasn't happened yet. So I ended up writing a poem about not writing a poem about the wall. Of all my unwritten poems, The Wall is the one that I regret the most. It was going to be my next, but I never figured out how to write it. I arrived in a city without books, only walls. Its streets zigzag, not straight, with hills to the south, yes, and tinged with a violet light at dusk, the clicking and murmur of insects. But how to get out of the maze of streets into the open fields beyond the walls and reach them? How? 2 out of 3 of its inhabitants were unemployed poets like me. But what help could they be in my search for you? By now, it had indeed become a search. At the heart of the maze-like city, a suffering beast I was meant to meet, to confront. That was the story, how I tried thread, dropped crumbs and scarlet ribbons to find my way back. But back to where? I never knew. Back to the wall, I suppose, as it lingered on in thoughts of the beast, its heat, its skin, its sinews, the thought of returning to you, to my many yous through the zigzag streets, sidestepping the suffering on its pavements, its poets sleeping rough in long abandoned building sites, sprouting with the invasive bushes of childhood, dreaming the poems they would never write. Now, these are 2 poems. A friend of mine, Martin Harrison, was a very important person in my early 20s. He was a very good poet. He died in 2014. And I could never really understand his work. I kind of really struggled. I couldn't work out what it was all about. And finally, I think I worked it out many years after. So this is called After. It's for Martin Harrison. At last, I have understood what I used to think was your urge to be wise is simply careful looking, not even looking, but seeing. Yes, yes, your artfulness lies in seeing the trace that remains after the eye stops looking, after. So this is a second poem, and I call it After Martin Harrison. It's called Poolside. And it was written, I was doing quarantine in Sydney at Christmas. And I was fortunate to be able to sit by a pool while I was in quarantine for a few days. So poolside. You have idle thoughts when you're sitting around by a pool, and this is my idle thoughts. My iPhone at the bottom of the swimming pool. How did it get there? I, framed by rippled reflections, and overhung by the painted grey of the wood-framed house, the kind of house you lived in, creates an angularity in all that flow of shadows, blue against a purer Asia. The clouds momentarily darken, edged by palm fronds, waving ragged hands. Falling leaves, too, have skittered sideways to rest on the water's tensile surface, then drift down into the depths, to gather on the bottom, wafted to and fro by currents too small for the human eye to gauge. My iPhone stares up out of these depths, those depths, now prophetically blind as the water seeps into its circuits, deleting memory, images, you, my poems. Speaking of these, I consider one to be called Art of the Title. And Martin, what would he think of that? Martin, who lies sightless, face up at the bottom of the pool, his body shifting imperceptibly in the currents, a palimpsest of water, sky, shadow, reflection, and all memory, all pain erased, like my dead iPhone, like those leaves.
Muy bien, Mike, fantástico. Really moving. Beautiful as ever.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. So we are approaching to the end of the evening because Maggie Hall was meant to be here, but I think she may have had some kind of problem, probably to do with the fact that it's 7 in the morning in Australia. But I haven't heard from her. So she was meant to be here, but she's not. So we wish her all the best. And Maggie, we missed you.
She doesn't live near the floods, does she?
Pardon?
They've had a lot of floods in Australia, you know. In the city area.
No. She lives in Newcastle.
Okay.
Newcastle of Australia. So no, but anyway, we and then we have a contribution by Robin Ouzman Hislop. He's not here, unfortunately, but he sent a poem. So what I'm going to do is to say goodbye to everybody. Thank everybody for being here. Thank you so much. And we'll play the poem of Robin, you know, as a finale of the event. I think that's probably the best way to do it. You know, I stopped myself from talking more about politics. So thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, it has been a real pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. This will be available in YouTube. It will be available on Facebook as well. And yes, we'll see you next time, sometime in April. I think it's the 20-something of April. It is on the Facebook page. The information, the day, as ever, 7 p.m. on a Friday.
29th?
I will try 29th, yeah?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
Friday.
whatever it says on the Facebook page, yeah? And
take care, Antonio. Look after yourself.
Thank you. And I
Right.
promise I will try next one to be hybrid or dual mode so that we can be together in a room in an open space, but you know, comfortably communicating with other people across the world in this dual mode. So we'll have a camera for the audience, and we'll have a connection through Zoom with those who are not there, and things on the screen. We started to do this very early. We've done it many times before the pandemic, and yeah, I hope we can do it next one that way. But still, it will be broadcasting through Facebook wherever it takes place. Okay, so this is not us disappearing and going back to the face-to-face and forgetting everybody else across the world. You always will be there. And here is the poem by Robin, which is great. It's called On Looking Back, and it has also some music, and I try to play the subtitles. And thank you so much, Robin, for sharing this with us.
Enough bread on the windowsill to feed 1,000 birds. Goat shit in the air. We walk on fetid sewers, like the rats that inhabit them. Immuno. O noble savage, what lies beyond the heart of darkness? Bonobos? Elon Musk thinks we must be in a simulation, otherwise we'd have gone extinct, and he's footing the bill. We can't object to being disembodied brains in bats on clipboards, any more than dinosaurs. Like a long dead insect, motorcycles in electric windows gleam, as if trying to get on, to get off, a swerve on the hill, jammed in the valley, houses stacked like egg boxes, cloud and smoke. At the interstices, traffic drone, pedestrians cast like shadows. At night, orange electrics hang out converging symmetries. Almost ephemerally, I am its inmate, its identity, a dark amorphous mass turning towards a lighted doorway to scrawl its signature. A fictitious identity effacing present with a replaced distance. Yonder, where the moment drifts, a wandering mind on a happenstance age, like light on the sea, an ephemeral instance of memory, a dazzling illusion of tongues stained with the dust of ages, where I walk on sand, hearing those voices fall over the horizon of this flat world, our mirror neurons reconstructing a past as a theatre of ghosts, a semblance clinging to the threshold of the present, on the precipice of nothingness. About, omnicide or superhuman cosmicide, long-lived aerosols, war of the trawlers, seabed shreds, bots, triffids, a glass house menagerie. We will open all doors to take away moments ever had, writ now, signifiers on tabloids, which will be erased, our experience about and present in our crooked corner of the world, as indifferent as day and night. Head on, all the hype, a tattered flag, a battered form, signal and sign, before ruins, a monolithic artifact, the grain of yesterday's tears, vanishing on a wind, in a whirlwind of dust, in multiple dusts. Every day the fumes rage, print the page, we rise with hands of clay, hang the numbers out to dry, a bag of tricks, a lottery tumbler of memory we choose at random. Listen to the echoes of our idiot dreams, address the parade of paradoxical masks, sink into our straitjackets that bind us to tomorrow's sky with its empty promises from before. Sex on the beach, a beverage, the sign said, tucked into a snug cove where we sun our limbs in wicker seats with seagulls and snorkelers flipper fins plashing the glittering sea, white foam breaking, shiffon on the rocks. We blip 1,000 selfies on the jelly roll, fleshly nubile spawning shore, biologically hacked, biologically raped under a celluloid blue sky, buffet on plastic moriscos, before we drift off towards our yellow beige alabaster dome cupolas, our palatial hotel chateau, to enter its catacombs, bathed in golden light, like holographic silhouettes. At night, rats will scourge the waterfront promenade, festooning rubbish bins, neglected either by white linen, underpaid immigrant blacks from the hotels, or pissed off government employee cleaners. Good news. New study. People eat at least 80,000 plastic particles a year. Story of the week. I rise from my $5 a day chaise lounge, my $150 a day umbrella shade, to float on the see-through sea, spitting out those same particles, washed inshore, watching brown bits of sewage dirt through the corners of my eyes. University of Victoria, Canada, who led the research, other foods such as bread, processed products, meat, dairy and vegetables may well contain just as much plastic. Cluster into filmy layers to coagulate with algae and mollusks on the rocks that adorn the bay. And tilting my head, I look outward to where the sun will set on a distant isle. Nothing is resolved to be continued. Things just get further away, a distance lost in the translation of the moment, on a quicksilver sand where memory portrays the mirror symmetries from before on this landslide life, where all the riddles remain, which I cannot fish out from the pond of meaning to dazzle the day. Those enigmas that have shaped me up to the intangible now that I am, as unexpected their appearance and disappearance were. They can mean no more purpose for me, but that I was not their cause on looking back.
Well, so thank you so much, and thank you, Robin, for sending this masterpiece.
Definitely one of his better ones.
Thank you. So have a good weekend, and
And you.
I hope next event we have better news for humanity and for ourselves. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.